So, as many of you are aware, or at the very least becoming aware, the Supreme Court has recently overturned Roe versus Wade, essentially scrapping the federal protections to the right to an abortion. Now, this shouldn't come as a surprise to any of you. It definitely doesn't come as a surprise to myself, simply due to the leaked opinion piece that we received however so long ago, basically warning us that this was soon to come. Indeed, it came. And along with it, it brought a burst of outcries, of course, from those that support what would largely be called reproductive rights in this country. And that has manifested itself in the form of mass protests, among many other things. I also feel as though I should state that this isn't the first, nor will it be the last, controversial decision from the Supreme Court. They have a track record of these sorts of things, whether it's them taking pot shots at the landmark Miranda decision, whether it's them providing cover to Border Patrol agents that raid your homes and while they're on their invasion, use excessive force in the form of beating you or whatever the case, and now you aren't allowed to bring that up and get relief or remuneration from your harsh treatment. Another decision of our ever so graceful Supreme Court. Now, the way that I see this, and I've seen it this way for quite some time, is that we are spectators. We are spectators of a circus. And the people running the circus are the same people that run this country. And they are extremely adamant in seeing that the circus is ran the exact same way that it's always been ran, to the chagrin of the spectators that would like something different. And that is how I would like to describe our current situation with everything we've been seeing leading up into this point. Now, as it pertains to abortion, many people will say, and quite correctly so, that there is a current ongoing war on reproductive rights. There is a war on women. There is a war on the freedoms, on the right to do something in this country. We're a country that champions the word freedom, yet those freedoms are being taken away. While all of those things do sound fine and dandy, I would say that there is currently an ongoing class war. And in my opinion, if I'm able to say so, that is the only war, if not the only, the most important war that we must turn our attention to. And the purpose that issues like abortion, like the decision to overturn Roe, like the gun debate, the fact that we can't even ensure the safety of our children as they go to school to learn and they risk being massacred by gunmen with unknown aims. I would say that the class war is the most important thing that we must pay attention to, and what these other issues do is serve the purpose of deviating our attention away from the most important thing that affects all of our lives. And that is what the people that are controlling this entire charade would like to see persist. And indeed, with this decision to overturn Roe, it seems like it is. Let me just provide you a couple of examples. Over the past few years, the American people have endured an entire slew of things. It started with the crash. We know that in this economic system we call capitalism, every so often we see a crash and millions of people lose their jobs, millions of people are thrust into poverty. We know the drill, we know the story, we know how this unfolds. Well, came the crash, then came a rampant virus that our government failed to protect us from. Over 1 million of us, to be exact. They failed on the economic security of their citizens, which is all too familiar. They failed on the virus, and after those two great failures, they then hit us with an inflation that is getting worse by the day. that we are suffering the effects from. Okay, after hitting us with an inflation, they then hit us with something they said only happened in communist societies, which is a food shortage. So we got hit with the illness, we got hit with economic downturn, we got hit with the rise in prices, and now we are short of food to feed our children with. Just when you thought it was over, no, now they've decided to raise interest rates. And now they threaten to thrust us into a recession. And so all of these things have built up and built up and built up and built up. And we're at the point where many Americans can't seem to take much more of this economic beatdown, this class war, this assault from the owner class, from the people that run this country, and it's being inflicted on millions of Americans. Well, what better way to get them to not pay attention to that, to get them to not get riled up and take to the streets over the fact that they're being hammered at the grocery store when they go to try to get a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk, when they go to the pump to fill up their Toyota Camry or whatever it is, and they're paying $60, $70, $80, some of us much more than that, to fill up our gas tanks. What better way to get them not to recognize all of that and take that in and really gain a consciousness than to focus their attention on something else? Sometimes it's the Chinese caravans that are the oh so reoccurring threat. Sometimes, as it has been so often recently, Russia, Vladimir Putin, look what he's doing in Ukraine. He needs to be stopped. Let's thrust even more economic sanctions on him that's not hurting him, but actually helping him and hurting the American people back home by assisting in the raising of the prices and whatnot. Let's focus their attention on abortion. But the underlying fact is that they will do whatever it takes to not allow us to band together and understand that we all share a common fight, a fight where it's quite literally the 99% against the 1%. And going back to the circus analogy, during this circus, they have many acts. And one of the many acts that they have is the one that we're currently seeing. A landmark decision is overturned. And so the quote unquote bad party hoop hoop hoorays because they're evil. And the good party tells you to come out and vote for them. And why should you vote for them? Because they're going to do something about this. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? The good party that is apparently going to do something about this when you vote for them currently has control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Wow, they can do something about this yesterday. Another fact, Obama, when he was in office, he had a supermajority at one point in time. Before he even got elected president, he said that if he was elected, he was going to codify Roe, something Democrats have been saying they were going to do for years. When he got elected, he didn't do it. In fact, he said that abortion wasn't on his list of tasks to handle. Do you see the game that's being played? Do you see the circus that this is, the theater, the performative acts? Nancy Pelosi reading a poem. You have these politicians coming out railing against this decision as if they're powerless to do otherwise. You don't recognize this common trend of there's always something else that we must focus on, that we must divert our attention to, other than what's most immediately affecting every single one of us. They're squeezing the life out of us. They want to raise interest rates. The quote from the Fed chair is to get wages down. Now, we all know that in an inflation, prices rise faster than the wages of the American populace, or any populace for that matter. Well, when you have a system that's set up in the way that we have, you have to fight as an employee for any wage increase that you get. The employers can just raise the prices like this. So, of course, it's going to get wages down. That's their entire shtick. And they're going to continue to squeeze us. They're going to continue to hit us with all of this tumult and hurt. And in doing so, they're going to continue to do things like what we see. Overturning Wade, taking away other civil liberties and freedoms that we once hold near and dear. Of course, while they run out of the back door with all of the money that me and you are never going to see any of. But all in all, that's what I make of this situation. It also seems to me that many people are learning that these politicians aren't going to be the one that are going to pull us up out of this rut that we're in of being robbed by the owner class. They're not going to save us in any sense, and definitely giving them our votes isn't going to help at all either.